At some point in growing up, I learned and internalized the fact that being a graphic designer is more palatable to most than being an artist, that's more acceptable and valuable to society, that being an artist is taboo and carries shame and insignificance. We very early on learn that creativity is devalued because it's not conducive to economic growth, power, destruction, and dominance, because it's vulnerable, honest, and expressive. Most creative people internalize this too. Though I love graphic design, making it my full-time job and facing the shallowness of corporate culture has me asking myself if I've made the wrong choice. It's a huge privilege that I get to do creative work full-time, so I do come from a place of gratitude and just general curiosity in my reflections. I just wish that everyone was free to create art without restrictions and be able to support themselves with it. I do think that there's truth in that whenever you are challenging the norm, it's going to take extra work. I think I sometimes move with fear, shielding myself from critique, and that's one of my goals this year, and in this lifetime even, to step out of that and to have more courage. That's how the people who inspire me most have lived. And it scares me even a little bit to share that I'm afraid, that I don't have all the answers, that I don't have it all figured out. This is a lifelong journey that cannot be resolved necessarily. I can only continue to uncover truths slowly and move towards alignment. So here I am, reconnecting myself with the artist within, rediscovering the meaning, and just giving myself the space to create and reflect, to feed my little artist soul. This video will probably be a lot of yapping, crafting, and doing some really hands-on art. I hope that you enjoy taking this little side quest journey with me. I have been really challenging myself to actively slow down and welcome boredom into my life a little bit more and really challenge myself to take a step back from technology in general, from doom scrolling, from checking my phone first thing in the morning, from even just putting my headphones and playing music when I go for a drive. I feel like it is so hard to focus, and I think when I go to create, even if I have a draw or a pull to create that day, my brain craves the more immediate dopamine, and I don't always have the patience or attention span to sit down and create art, even if that's something that I want to do. And I think that disconnect can feel really challenging. It's frustrating when you feel like you don't have control over your attention or your body like that. And I feel like I've been trying to create more autonomy over my attention and my mind by taking time to slow down and allow myself to have more space in the times where I usually would fill it with my phone or a TV show or even just music. And even if I'm doing something like productive, like cooking or driving somewhere, just allowing myself to sit more in silence and let my thoughts just go where they want to go. Because I think that pulls in creativity, and I think that pulls in imagination, and your thoughts will go really interesting places. I think it's important for us to be able to use our critical thinking and our imagination and not just feel like the doomerism of our current or fear of the future. Imagination is a really beautiful part of being human, and it's a really beautiful part of consciousness, and I think that's why so many of us fall in love with making art. Imagination and escapism are like very similar, but I think escapism is a way of avoiding the reality and not confronting it. But I think that imagination is both acknowledging reality and being able to dream of some kind of alternative or think of different ways of living that we want to work towards, just reconnecting with our childhood self. Like when I was little, I would come up with so many creative things to do. It was so fun and silly and lighthearted, and I just really crave that feeling of play And I think that creativity is directly a form of play that we just lose as adults. We've just been taught to become so robotic, to be like machines, and just, everything's so serious all the time. And I think having a sort of playfulness in life is really valuable. And I feel like just physical art unlocks that. I don't think that graphic design unlocks that for me. Everyone's different, right? Like some people may find that in graphic design, but for me, it's just not there. And so I have to find it in other avenues. That's just another one of the reasons that I've been trying to prioritize it and do more of it and welcome it into my life more, along with the challenging parts like boredom and stillness, and not allowing myself to do the things like doom scrolling. And that is incredibly hard. I get so antsy, and I feel like I deal with a little bit more anxiety and restlessness. And I'm trying to get over the hill of that and just be able to be on the other side. And yeah, it is a process. Today, I am at my family's house. What a wonderful thing to be back in my childhood backyard and still have this connection to the place where I grew up. There were always like wild strawberries and four-leaf clovers and collectible acorns and trees to climb, and it was just full of imagination and exploration. And that's kind of the thing that I feel like I've been drifting from with graphic design. I feel like graphic design has a lot of rules, right? And I think that they serve a purpose. It's a form of communication. So it makes sense that it has some kind of rules or guidelines around it. For example, typography hierarchies, how text is supposed to be ordered, how it's supposed to be scaled. Especially for the brand designers out there, we understand like when you're making a set of brand guidelines, just how nitty-gritty you have to be with the technicalities of it. I've started to create based on what I think is supposed to look good, what other people think is supposed to look good, what the expectations are for graphic design to look like. I feel like art, especially physical art, because it's so tangible, I think it's supposed to be really intuitive. And I think the thing about learning graphic design is it's not always the most intuitive thing. For new designers, there's a steep learning curve for like what's supposed to look good and what makes good design, right? And it's also very subjective, but I think that art itself is supposed to be very intuitive, and I think that the process of creating is supposed to be, I don't think there's any supposed tos, but for me, the process of creating is a way of connecting with myself and receiving from the world and opening myself up to receive certain ideas and be open to all the thoughts that enter without having any kind of restrictions. Because my full-time career is graphic design, I think physical art for me does not have those restrictions. Physical art for me allows me to create without having those limitations and expectations. And I think it's a lot more freeing to be able to make something and to get your hands dirty and to be really hands-on. I feel like it's just so primal. Being really grounded and present with it, I think is supposed to be, in my mind, something that gives you energy. I think it's just an entirely different creative process. I think we're all just little artist souls that need creative food. I think a lot of creative people struggle to answer that question of, is a job just a job to pay bills and get by, like a means to an end? Or can a job fulfill some kind of purpose and meaning. I think that because of the system that we're under, there's no right answer to that. I think everyone's going to have a different answer because I don't think our system is built to support us. Everyone has a different way of meeting their needs under our system to like the best of their ability. And I support everyone in what they choose to do. I just wanted to give everyone a safe space to talk about it and to feel okay if they're uncertain of the answer. There's so many perspectives on it and there's no right or wrong opinion. I mean, there might be some that are more correct than others. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I don't think that there is one correct path. And honestly, you might be figuring it out your whole life. What should I name him? I've just been thinking tonight, consciousness is so interesting. It's just one of those days, right? It's just one of those days that we're thinking about this. But consciousness is so interesting because it's really in everything. And I think that creating really brings us closer to that and closer to our understanding of it and closer to being connected with it. And I think there's something specifically about working with a tangible physical medium that especially does it. Like, I just feel connected to whatever I'm working with. When you're creating, you're kind of channeling these ideas, right? Like, no one really knows where they come from. No one really knows where our thoughts and ideas come from. And I always wondered about that as a child. I was always curious about that. And no one really seemed to have the answer. And I still don't have the answer to that. And I still ponder it quite often. But I think that's part of the beauty of, and the magic of it. We're kind of like vessels for ideas. And when we put ourselves in the right spaces of openness, we allow these ideas from the abyss to kind of channel in. Because sometimes I create something and I'm like, who made that? It wasn't me. It was me, but it wasn't. Like, where did that even come from? And I love it. I also think that's why collaborating with other creative people is really cool, because you can feel the ideas like ricocheting and rippling through everyone's minds. I think because our consciousness is all connected, like the ideas that we share and bounce off of each other. And a lot of times people will think of the same things or similar things and get to that realm together. I don't know how to explain it. I guess that applies to like all creativity, but I feel like I unlock it very specifically when I'm doing very specifically like collage, because I get to see these different pieces and like my brain is like solving this puzzle of like how to fit them together, but also the flow of like painting and pastels and all that kind of stuff. Creativity is just such a gift, isn't it? It's such a gift. What a wonderful thing to experience. Anyways, that's just my existential tangent tonight. What do you think? I couldn't have worded it better myself. Here's the magazine rack that I found. I kind of want to re-varnish it, strip it and re-varnish it and fix some of these spots. I feel like this also is supposed to have like a piece of glass or a mirror or something. So I kind of want to add a mirror back in, but I feel like repairing furniture could be my new thing. Could be my new fixation. So beautiful. I love that it's kind of a cherry kind of wood. But yeah, I'm obsessed with it. I saw this thing where you can do photo printing essentially, like with the sun using turmeric, and I was fascinated and immediately wanted to try it. There's a word for like one-off prints. I took a printmaking class and learned all of this, and it has apparently left my brain. But I love printing with found materials, and we went on a little walk to collect some different materials for this. I just used some different flowers and things that we pressed, and I just pressed them overnight so that they'd be flat. It just helped a lot. You just need turmeric, isopropyl alcohol, gloves, because turmeric stains. You just need some thicker paper that can hold moisture okay. And you also need baking soda or borax, and you mix it with some water, and that helps neutralize the chemical reaction. You just mix your turmeric with the isopropyl alcohol, and you stir it up in a little glass jar. I've just used the secondhand jam jar because I collect these. I save all of these for art projects. I put it through a coffee filter to kind of strain out some of the powder and the grittiness. And then I just brushed it onto my paper. Then you let that dry and you lay out your plants on it. And then you can cover it with a piece of glass. The reason for the glass is it allows the sun to still reach the paper while also keeping everything pressed flat, because you're supposed to let it sit for 3 hours and you really don't want anything to move. So we put the glass on top of the final prints, and we're just letting them sit here in the sun for about 3 hours in direct sunlight. So basically there's these little chemicals within turmeric, and they are photoreactive or photosensitive, this little chemical. So basically it absorbs photons from the sun, and it has this reaction, which is super cool. And so that's what creates the print. And the baking soda also makes it so that it's more of this clay red color instead of the bright yellow that you see with turmeric. It was really fun to forage for all the little plants and stuff. I feel like I just noticed so much more in my environment. We found so many little treasures to use for our prints. I definitely want to just go on more little nature walks and collect things to press. You can also put them in like photo frames and stuff and do cool framed press plants. I like how it just kind of gives attention to all the little flora in the neighborhood, and it helps you notice things, and it really makes you slow down. And also there's kind of this unknown variable of how it's going to turn out. This is our first time trying it. There's a lot of areas where it's not an exact science, where we could have messed it up. And I think that's part of the fun, is like the experimentation and the unknown. This feels like more of a loose science art, and I'm really excited about it and honestly nerding out about it quite a bit. Mom gets the winning award. There's a little teeny ant. He's making his journey across my blanket. I think that the modern understanding of graphic design is one that packages creatives very neatly into a little box, one that serves a commercial purpose and thus can serve capitalism. It's a perfect little mold, though still quite undervalued, that makes art more productive and useful. We've seen this throughout history, like after World War II, when marketing and American consumerism was a big focus. We've seen it when the printing press was created, focusing on mass production and efficiency. Growth in the consumer has always been part of the designer's consideration in what they create, a significant part. It is a predominantly white industry, and there's a feeling for non-designers or people that are just getting started and learning that there's this level of exclusivity, that there's some degree of inaccessibility. All of these things contribute to making designers, or the idea of a designer, more palatable to people and separate it from our idea of the artist. It's so ingrained in our culture that I feel like even I perceived it that way for so long. I really want to actively challenge this because I do believe that there is value to design, especially for communicating ideas that we can tap into. And I want that to be accessible to everyone. And I want to challenge my own biases and unlearn these things. Also, crafting gets a really bad rap. Crafting has a lot of cultural significance, and it's very powerful, and it goes back to a lot of different cultures, especially indigenous cultures. Being able to kind of slow down a little bit and reflect on these things and learn about them a bit more, and take time to create physical art and stuff is really important for challenging these ideas. Taking steps towards alignment is important because it's not going to happen overnight, right? Like, we're always going to be learning new things and getting closer to truth and alignment. This is more just kind of like from my personal experience and what I've learned. And there are a ton of interesting resources out there, and I want to look into them more. I have gone through The Artist's Way. That was a really beautiful book, and I know it's kind of like a popular one, but if you have any other resources, research-oriented or history books or anything like that, please send it to me because I'm really curious about all of that kind of stuff and learning more. I think there's that feeling of dissonance for a lot of people of like wondering what the place of making art is and making design is when there's so much suffering and injustice going on in the world. And I think a lot of designers as sensitive people and a lot of artists, they feel very strongly about making a difference. So it makes sense that we would really want to use our skills to do that. And I think graphic design maybe isn't always the answer to that, though it can be a part of it. Make posters, make educational posts, share stories, process your emotions, heal, and work through things. I think it can be very powerful. It can be a very powerful tool for communication. Maybe you'll resonate with some of this. I'm so excited to show you what I've gotten from Scrap ATL. Basically, it is a secondhand nonprofit art supply store, so they have really everything under the sun that people have donated. So the first thing that I got is this gold wrapping paper. I got this for my collage work because I love to include different metallic elements. I love to add little stars. I just love using metallics and stuff. The second thing that I got is this acetate pad. I thought it would be cool to maybe use it for zines and stuff. Transparent window collage pages where you can see part of the next page. I also got this isometric sketching pad. Basically, it's an isometric grid on every page. If you've watched my recent brand design video, I did a little illustration on an isometric grid, and it was really fun. So I thought it could be kind of fun to like maybe draw some different isometric stuff and draw little cities or whatever. I also got this, I think it's watercolor paper. It's very thick paper. I just wanted something a little bit heavier weight to do more painting on and mixed media without getting a bunch of canvas. I also got this tracing film. Whenever I'm transferring a design on linoleum, I will use tracing paper or graphite paper. So I got 5 new sheets of graphite paper. I think they were like 20 cents each. And you can reuse graphite paper quite a bit. So when you trace something, you'll press it down and put your design here. You'll put the graphite paper between your drawing and whatever you're transferring it to. So yeah, these sheets should last me a very long time. I got this little bag of pastels. It's kind of a mix of oil and chalk pastels. It was like, fill a bag for a couple bucks. You get a little bag of pastels and you get to mix and match. I'm saving the most exciting thing for last, so bear with me. I also got some calendars. Got some that would be great for collage. So look at this, flowers. I mean, it just has so many beautiful flowers that I can cut out. It's like, imagine a little fairy sitting on one of those. I cannot wait to use this in an art print. This one is a Sierra Club one, so it has a bit more landscapes. Really, the possibilities are endless. And then a deep space calendar. I mean, come on now. Imagine what I could do with this. All kinds of galaxies. This would make an insane background. Combine it with a mountainscape, combine it with some human eyes. You know, it's giving God is watching. That's what I got from Scrap ATO. Guess how much this was? $7. I feel like I really found a gem. Today I've decided to do a clothing craft. What I've decided to do is bleach tie-dye some of my old clothes. So I have these old sweatpants. The inside string kind of broke, and I feel like they just need a revival. I also have this old black sweatshirt. I wear it a lot, and it has a little hole in the thumb that I'm also going to mend. I'm just going to hand sew it up really quickly. I think they would make a cute set. If you haven't ever tie-dyed with bleach before, it is super cool. Basically, all you need is bleach, water, gloves. I've got a little tray here that I'm going to let it soak in. I've got some bleach that I found in my apartment's laundry room, and I've got some hair ties. You can also use rubber bands, but I haven't touched these in a while, so I'm just going to go ahead and use these, and I think I should be able to reuse them. We're using what we have, guys. We're using what we have. Gloves. I just use these for cleaning, so I'm taking a couple of these just so you don't get bleach on your hands. You really want to make sure that you have ventilation and that you have some kind of barrier on your hands so that you don't hurt yourself. And then I have some bags that I may or may not use that I'm going to put it in while it develops the bleach. I'm going to use 50% bleach, 50% water, maybe even a little bit less than that of the bleach. I'm going to scrunch these up to prepare them. And then I'm going to take it outside and do it out there so that I can have some fresh air and ventilation. We got to take the precautions. This is stuff that's already around the house, around the apartment or whatever. Sustainability is a mindset. It's about using what you already have and giving things a new life before you even buy secondhand. So yeah, we're gonna get creative and give some clothing a new spicy little life.